Well, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and in that spirit, we thought we'd talk about creating a legacy on today's program with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, president and founder of TJ Stearns, Inc. What does creating a legacy mean to you? What are the effective tools to do it? We'll discuss it on today's program. So, Tim, it is always a pleasure having you on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement. Creating a legacy is something that I think we all hope can be positive, whether it's value monetarily or values that we pass on. We want it to be impactful. We don't want to leave problems for our spouse or our children or our next of kin. We want to leave a positive memory and, if possible, finances behind. And I know that that can get complicated because it really entails a combination of efforts from a financial, legal, and tax planning standpoint.
Well, I mean, Peter, the big thing that I have people coming in here is I'd say 9 out of 10 baby boomers want to leave money to somebody, something to maybe help the next generation, whether it's their kids or nephews, nieces, etc., but to leave them something, or even their wives, or husbands. So we find a lot of people, baby boomers are very charitable, it seems, and they want to leave something to them. And with it being Life Insurance, Awareness Month, I thought what a great way to do legacy planning by talking about it.
Now, I have a feeling, Tim, that far more people want to leave that legacy behind than actually do effectively leave a legacy behind. What's standing in the middle? What is getting in our way?
Well, I mean, even I see clients that are in their 80s that have not done any legacy planning per se because they're worried that if they give away money per se, that it's gone. And then what if they need long-term care? So if you're going to ask me what's in the middle of that, long-term care is a hang up for people. 64% of baby boomers are worried about running out of money. Right behind that, it's going to be long-term care. So, that's the nice thing about life insurance nowadays, the permanent type. There are bells and whistles that can come with that are usable while someone is still alive.
Studies have shown, Tim, that according to industry data, nearly half of U.S. households say they would face financial hardship within 6 months if a primary wage earner passes away. Far, far too many of us are underinsured or uninsured completely. And then I think the number is probably even higher for those that have not done their legal documents or do not have their will and essential documents up to date.
Right. We have a 79-year-old right now that, we're going through her math. She lost her Social Security and then now is taking the husband's who passed and, trying to rearrange the deck. She came into us late and we're just trying to figure out how to make sure that she can stay in the house that she's lived in for 45 years, and make sure that she's going to be okay. And these are things that, kind of got forgotten. And, this is a great way to remind people that there's a lot more than just your investments out there to take care of your loved ones.
Well, let's make sure we address those things, ladies and gentlemen. And far too often, the decisions that we're making 55, 60, 65, the implications, the ultimate results of those decisions that will happen after our life or at 80, 85, or 90 are not discussed. We are not forward looking enough in our planning. Maybe we're dealing with an advisor or source of information that has not seen retirement all the way through, does not know the implications. Maybe we're just being short-sighted and overlooking those things. But let's make sure that we're thinking them through clearly, that we understand not only our own lifetime financial security, but how we are setting up our loved ones, how we are creating that impactful and hopefully positive legacy on them. If you've got questions, if you are into or retirement or making your way there and want to make sure that you've got that kind of foresight and have done the appropriate planning, pick up the phone, get that conversation started with Tim Stearns Stearns, CFP, your certified financial planning professional, and his team of professionals there at TJ Stearns Inc. They are here to help, a resource for so many throughout Chicagoland. So many more need to address these issues. It's why we're softly reminding you on today's program. But be in touch. Get that conversation started. 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. And Tim, I do want to again repeat, I mentioned it, but I want to emphasize here that in order to have as effective planning as possible, it does take coordination between your financial, your legal, and your tax planning. And I love the fact that there at TJ Stearns Inc., you have that under one roof and have those connections already established to help people make sure their efforts are coordinated.
Well, many people that come in here have not thought about their legacy and how they're going to get through that. They're also concerned about long-term care. That's where I come in. Then they're also, many of them do not have their estate planning up to snuff. They don't, it's kind of done. It was then done 10 years ago or nothing at all.
The kids
So
were
that
all under
whereas,
18. The
yeah,
grandkids weren't around yet.
yes. So you're looking at that. And then lastly, so that's where our estate
I've
attorney comes in.
I've been divorced and remarried twice since then.
Right. Yeah. And I have a funny story about that. We had a guy who came in here from the radio show and he kept talking about how him and Mary are going to do this, that, and the other thing. And I said, well, who's Julie? When he's showing me all his paperwork, he said, Julie's my first wife. How do you know her? I said, well, she's still a beneficiary on some of this stuff.
Wow,
So that
wow.
would be something to speak about. And can you imagine? I said to him, I go, boy, at your funeral, you'd probably die twice, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Killed again.
but so, and then the last part would be, we have a CPA on staff, and that takes care of that portion, so we can figure out, the state of Illinois' estate tax is over anything over 4 million, so we have to worry about that. So we cover everything under one roof, and that's very important to people because a lot of these advisors that other people are using, the only thing they deal with are their stocks and bonds, and
Hmm.
that is it. And they think that that is financial planning, and that is not financial planning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, planning for your legacy starts now, not later. In fact, many of these things you cannot do the day after you need to have them done. So
Right.
that's why we talk about them proactively and why you should address them proactively. Start now. Better late than never, but the sooner the better. So give Tim Stearns and TJ Stearns Inc. a call, 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, you actually mentioned the Social Security going away. And that again, while it's not directly tied to our investments per se, it's not like it's an asset that has to have beneficiaries listed and named, but a lot of people make decisions on Social Security not realizing that their spouse is going to have decreased income later on into the future, not realizing that after we pass, our spouse loses income and bumps up in tax brackets because they go from married filing jointly to single head of household. Like these are the kind of lifelong implication decisions that you talk through people and make sure that they are informed and educated about.
Right. The widow's tax is what you're speaking of. I mean, these brackets drop considerably once you're on your own. And that woman that we're talking about, she has, a small home equity line, and we're going to take some of the IRA money because the husband just died about a month ago, and make sure that, we pay that down while she can take, she was worried about taxes. And I said, well, next year will be even worse,
Right.
if you do this. So we should do it this year. And she understood the issue there. But back to a lot of people worry about legacy and they don't get around to it, or I've had people go, well, I don't really care about that. Well, let's talk about why you might want to do some life insurance. There is a hybrid life insurance out there that my wife and I own and that many of my clients do, and basically it with the life insurance comes with a chronic care rider, we call it. And if I cannot do two of my activities of daily living, or I'm cognitively impaired, then my wife can pull down on the death benefit tax free for my care. And that answers that, what's in it for me, right? That's how that's taking care of any problems that I would have if I went into a home or long-term care. And then more importantly, if something happens to me, it's not use it or lose it, like the eras have gone by where, is long-term care only. And there's no bang to your buck. If you put all the money in there, it's null and void. So with us, we're doing a couple different things there. We're doing legacy planning. We're also passing along a death benefit that is absolutely tax-free. And then if God forbid you need it, which 7 out of 10 Americans are going to need long-term care, and 9 out of 10 of us have not addressed this, that's covered as well.
Uh, I don't know when exactly I heard this, but it always stuck with me, Tim, is that life insurance is a purchase of the heart, not of the wallet. Sort of thinking, you're taking care of other people. It's not something that you personally see benefit in. But contrary to that, and again, that has sort of stuck with me, that statement. But what you're talking about here, life insurance absolutely can be a smart financial move that provides leverage and protection against a couple of the instances where we have the most vulnerability with those long-term care costs, the potential for the expenses that we may incur, and leaving behind money to replenish and refill the buckets for others.
That's right. And this widow that I speak of was looking at her Social Security statement, showing that they were going to drop the hers and just have the husband's, and that's $1,000 haircut she's going to take every month, and that's money that's going to be missed, and she needs that. So the good news is that we're going to help her through it, but she didn't have life insurance. And think about it, if they had had the foresight to do that, they would have had replenished some of the money that they've used over the last 14 years they've been retired, and be able to do some, to make sure that she's okay.
Uh,
Otherwise, I think we see a lot of widows and widowers that are selling houses because they can't afford to be there anymore.
Yeah. And our greatest fear, Tim, running out of money, but don't you want to enjoy retirement, take trips, buy gifts, spend money together, and do so with confidence? And in order to be able to have that confidence, to not only live that confidence, but leave behind that confidence, there are certain tools that are available that too many of us don't put in place. So do you want to leave behind uncertainty and financial burden, or confidence and stability? I think the question is as simple as that, as to whether you need to talk about leaving the legacy and the estate planning and the tools that you are utilizing to do it. Insurance can provide a high level of leveraged protection to meet that uncertainty with absolutes and guarantees.
Well, and yes, and all that is encompassing, but I look at people who were raised by the baby boomers were raised by people who lived through the Great Depression, and life insurance wasn't really a thing for them. They had their pensions and that type of thing. Well, this is a whole different type of retirement. They don't have pensions in most cases. 15% of society does nowadays. So how do we take care of ourselves if we don't have a pension every month besides this small Social Security check that's coming in, for example? So, when we're looking at this stuff, we're looking at down the road that you might need this. And if you don't, well, then you're going to leave pennies on it. For pennies on a dollar, you're going to leave tax deferred, tax-free dollars to your heirs. That will replenish buckets. It will take care of things. But to your point, you'll be able to live a good retirement. But I mean, ignorance is not bliss here. At least look underneath the rock and figure out, is it for you or not? But I think it is for most people.
Tim, we also hear about the great wealth transfer.
Yeah.
This phenomenon where one generation has built up a sizable, significant trillions of dollars
Yep.
of wealth that is expected. I think 70 to 90 trillion dollars is what I saw for the expectations on what will transfer from one generation, what is expected to transfer from one generation to the next over the coming two decades or so. In reality, Tim, I feel as though a lot of that wealth is going to, because of lack of planning, because of the lack of foresight that we're talking about here, is going to end up transferring to the IRS in the form of
Yeah.
taxes and to the nursing home to cover the cost of care.
Right. And that's to your point. it's a great wealth transfer. It's also the great tax, grab from the IRS. So if you default to their system, which is what most people are doing, and you don't have life insurance and things like that that would help, stymie some of the taxes, or you're not doing Roth conversions, or you're not at least having those conversations, you are going to pay more in taxes than you should, and so on with your family.
Well, again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP. It is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And in that effort, we're talking about legacy planning. How do you plan for and create the most positive and impactful legacy possible? You do it proactively, ladies and gentlemen. You get to jump on it early and you review and revisit it often and make sure that you have the right tools in place. And if you'd like to talk all of that through, looking from all perspectives, the investments, the financial perspective, the documents, the legal perspective, and how much you and your family actually get to keep, the tax perspective, give TJ Stearns Inc. a call, 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, I know that you speak with a lot of people, and most of them, I would say probably the majority, have done well in one or two of those areas, but there are still holes that you help people identify and help them complete the plan and bring everything all together. That is really what that Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint is all about, is seeing where there may be holes or instabilities in the plan.
Well, to protect from taxes would be one of the things. So we're looking at Roth conversions. We're making sure that people are using their required minimum distributions, maybe to pay a life insurance policy that they have long-term care with. And then if something happens to them, it'll transfer and leverage that money to their family tax-free. So there's a lot of different things that go into a protect and grow plan. And I think most people say, well, I'm over 60, the kids are growing, I don't need life insurance. I'll self-insure for long-term care. I've met people who have had spouses go in for 5, 6, 7 years of long-term care, with dementia, but they're healthy. Those are things that can be very detrimental to someone's retirement, and having a good plan will thwart a lot of that.
Again, talking with Tim Stearns, CFP. If you've got questions, if you'd like to get your Protect and Grow written retirement plan, the blueprint for your retirement, the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, I'll get it out correctly eventually. I know that that's something, Tim, only available there at TJ Stearns Inc. that you take great pride in. And specifically, again, the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, ladies and gentlemen, you can only get by calling TJ Stearns Inc. 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. Tim, I want to take a little bit of a different angle on this because we've talked about these two fears. Number one, running out of money in retirement. Can you help us to discuss and uncover the methodology and the strategies for actually guaranteeing ourselves a lifetime of income increases the likelihood that we will leave a positive, impactful legacy behind?
Well, if you're talking about like the annuities that we've talked about, they have joint income there. So, in that realm, you're going to be able to not, if someone passes away, it doesn't go to half of that, like you see with Social Security, or one of them doesn't drop off. It's a joint income. And then a lot of our annuities have increases that go on with not being a static number, in other words. So, that's the type of thing that I want to make sure that the spouse that is left, here is able to keep up with inflation and keep up with her bills. And, by doing an annuity, that's got joint pay, that definitely takes the onus off of the widow or widower, that they're going to be able to pay their bills.
I hear a lot of people, Tim, and I don't think this is a selfish notion at all. Rightfully so. Like, you've spent a lifetime building up your assets. The comment that I hear is, I don't really plan to leave behind a great amount of wealth. My children are okay. I've already given
Yep.
them enough. I want to spend my money.
Yep.
Again, not selfish, but in reality, if we plan effectively for our own lasting lifetime of financial confidence, then the odds are something is also going to be left behind. I know everybody talks about bouncing their last check. The
Yeah.
reality is that that just doesn't happen, and there's typically something left behind. So why not plan for that to be as effective as possible? And Tim, you help people through the order of operations, not just optimizing what they are creating for their own lifetime needs, but also optimizing what is left behind. There are certain assets that are better than others.
Well, what I see are people that are maybe that they want to bounce their last check, and I follow that. But I also know those same people don't want to be a burden on their family. So by doing a protect and grow plan that will actually have uh, you know, joint income that's going to be increasing with inflation, that's going to help. And the second thing I would talk about is that make sure that you've got long-term care addressed, however that looks. You have a 3 in 1,000th chance of burning down your house. And I don't know anyone out there that doesn't have home insurance. But we have a 7 out of 10 chance that we're going to need long-term care, and 9 out of 10 people don't worry about it. Or if they worry about it, they go, well, I'm too old for it. I'm this, I'm that. That's not true anymore. There's a lot of great products out there that can solve this, and we help people get through it.
Well, once again, if you would like to talk things over, review, evaluate your current financial, investment, retirement plan, your legacy plan, your tax situation, coordinate all of those efforts. That is what the planning review and strategy session is all about. That is the complimentary courtesy service that Tim Stearns offers, the opportunity for that as a part of this program. So get that conversation started. Get your own Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint by calling 800 640 2256. That is 800 640 2256. 800 640 2256. Tim, those accelerated benefits that you talk about, the chronic care ability
Yep.
to cover that through life insurance, is that one of the best modernizations of a financial vehicle, like one of the best um,
It's evolved.
adaptations that has evolved in the modern financial world?
For my money, it has. And my wife and I have each bought a policy because I believe in it. I don't want to be a burden on my family, but I also don't want to have to pay the, uh, you know, uh, long-term care out of my own assets. Why not put the onus on the retirement? I'm sorry, on the insurance company. And then more importantly, if I don't ever use it, well, then my family gets life insurance that's tax-free. I don't know anything better than that.
Well, again, something to find out about if you have not had those conversations, ladies and gentlemen. Many people ignore insurance. Many people feel like they are self-insured, but there might be better ways to utilize and leverage dollars that are sitting idle that can provide additional protections. Maybe not just ignoring that completely or leaving yourself uncovered and underinsured against that. Pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns a call. CFP, Tim Stearns, Certified Financial Planning Professional. He can have those conversations with you. He, yes, helps people to manage their investments, makes recommendations on the investment side with that fiduciary responsibility, but also has access, has the professionals in his office for the insurance as well, and relationships under the roof for estate planning and tax planning and preparation, all there at TJ Stearns Inc. So give a call, 800 640 2256. That is 800 640 2256. Tim, a lot of people may be saying, well, I am too old
Oh
for this
yeah.
to matter. Never too late to plan. Again, a statement I made earlier, like better earlier is great, but better late than never also.
Right. There's never a good time to buy life insurance. It's kind of a morbid process. But there are so many different products out there now that, even if you think you're quote unquote uninsurable, if you think you're too old, it's a different beast nowadays, and it's a different animal. And I think people should at least explore their options. There's a lot more out there to financial planning and retirement planning than just your stocks and bonds. There's things that you could be doing for your family to shore up so that if you're gone or if you're in need of care, you're not going to be a burden.
And not all assets are created equally when it comes to leaving a legacy. The 401k, the IRA, those tax deferred assets can leave significant tax burdens behind. Even if we are not at the level where we incur estate taxes, Tim, a lot of assets are being passed that have not even gone through income tax yet. And that's going to be a step that's left on to beneficiaries, pre-planning and helping to make sure that the IRS does not become the largest recipient of your life's work and accumulation. Does take some careful planning.
And that's another reasons that we came up with our, tax report to show people, if you don't do anything, this is what your taxes will be. If you start to do Roth conversions, or if you even do life insurance that has long-term care components of it, we can mitigate some of those taxes. And I don't know anyone, regardless of party, that wants to pay more than their fair share of taxes.
Even those people who say they don't want to leave any legacy behind at all, or will let the beneficiaries deal with the tax implications. If you break it down and look at the numbers, if the IRS is the largest recipient of that, may want to rethink that. And legacy planning is about more than money. It's about purpose, ladies and gentlemen. It is protection. It's dignity. September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. It's not all about life insurance, but creating that positive, impactful legacy may include a conversation about life insurance, certainly among other options and asset classes. It's a timely reminder about creating that legacy. And so what that legacy truly means to you need to define it, and you need to have in place the vehicles to help you execute it, the documents and the accounts, the assets. So pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns, CFP, your certified financial planning professional, and TJ Stearns Inc. a call for that Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint. And we always appreciate your insight on the important financial matters, Tim.
Well, thanks for having me, Peter. I think we covered some good areas that a lot of people are not addressing.
Yep. The number to call, ladies and gentlemen, 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. TJ Stearns Inc., conveniently located in Arlington Heights, but serving proactive and savers and investors throughout the Chicagoland area, and in fact, across multiple states. Within the sound of our voice here, you can be in touch and utilize CFP, Certified Financial Planning Professional Tim Stearns, CFPs, as a resource, and TJ Stearns Inc. So 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. Helping to solve the modern retirement riddle. We always appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.